Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into the sources we've got on Tom Gleeson, an Australian comedian, writer, presenter, quite the figure.
Yeah, and our goal here is to chart his past pretty quickly, but, thoroughly. How does someone go from studying science to, well, winning the Gold Logie? We're looking for those connections.
And the thing that just grabs you straight away, the core of it all, really, is this huge contradiction. You've got this guy known for being, well, cutting, sharp, almost aggressive in his comedy, hard quiz, Taskmaster, Gold Logie winner.
Right.
And yet his foundation, pure logic, science.
Exactly. Thomas Francis Gleeson, born June 2nd, 1974, so he's 51 now. His degree from the University of Sydney is a Bachelor of Science. And not just science, but specifically maths and physics.
Wow, maths and physics. Well, it's almost jarring, isn't it? How does that kind of think, objective proofs, universal laws?
Yeah, calculus, gravity.
Right. How does that feed into making people laugh, which is so subjective?
Well, maybe it's not about whimsy for him. Maybe it's about structure. System, like maths and physics. They're about finding patterns, right? Finding the most efficient path to a solution.
Okay.
And good stand-up, well, it's kind of similar, isn't it? You take an idea, you structure the setup with real precision, like an equation, and the punchline has to land at exactly the right moment, the most efficient point.
So you're saying he might be applying that scientific method to joke writing?
Could be. Maybe he sees the audience less as a random crowd and more like a system. You input the right variables, structure it correctly, and you get the desired output. Laughter.
Solving for laughs. Okay, that premise makes this whole thing fascinating. Let's unpack how he got there, because it wasn't a straight line.
No, definitely not. Those early foundations are key when you see such a big pivot later on.
So let's look at those unexpected foundations. It wasn't just the university lab. He started out in rural New South Wales, born in Gunnedah, lived near Tambar Springs.
Right, that regional background.
Then a shift to the city and a very structured environment. Boarding school. St. Joseph's College, Hunters Hill, in Sydney.
That contrast itself, country freedom versus city structure that can shape you. But yeah, the academic path is the really defining part here.
That Bachelor of Science in Maths and Physics, you don't just fall into that.
No, you choose that because you like solving complex problems. You like clarity. Ambiguity isn't really the goal in physics, is it?
No, definitely not. It was a serious commitment. Years of rigorous training and thinking logically.
And think about what that teaches you. Physics is cause and effect. Maths is about efficiency, elegance sometimes.
Okay, I see where you're going.
When you watch Gleeson now, especially in hard quiz or hard chat, every word feels deliberate, calculated. There's no waffle.
True. It's very lean.
So that intellectual discipline, maybe ironically, lets him pull off this persona that seems really loose and aggressive, but is actually underneath incredibly controlled.
But wait, before comedy took over completely, there was another detour, wasn't there? Something musical.
Ah, yes. The sources mention a band he was in during university, the Fantastic Leslie.
The Fantastic Leslie, okay. And he wasn't the front man.
No, he played the drums. Apparently sang backup sometimes, too.
Drums. Okay, that fits, doesn't it? The rhythm section.
It's perfect. The drummer's all about timing, structure, keeping everything together. It's like a physical version of the mental discipline from his degree.
Keeping that internal rhythm.
Exactly. Which is precisely what a stand-up needs, right? For delivering a complex routine, hitting those beats, the structure from music, the logic from science, they seem to merge right into his comedy career starting around 96.
Okay, so he takes that sense of timing and structure and dives into stand-up, which brings us to, well, the grind. Section 2, the stand-up grind and unique experiences. And he didn't just sort of ease in telling jokes as himself.
No, he went straight into a character.
Malcolm.
Malcolm. Tell us about Malcolm.
Well, this is his first stage persona, and he's stuck with it for 2 years, so a serious commitment again.
2 years as Malcolm.
Yeah.
And what was the look? The sources describe it pretty vividly. Flannelette shirt, tracksuit pants, and a wig.
Okay, so a recognizable type. A bit of an Aussie caricature, maybe.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
But the key thing is the commitment to the character for so long.
Why is that significant, do you think, starting with a character like that?
Well, it's arguably harder than just doing observational stuff as yourself. You have to build rules for the characters with a specific voice, stay within those boundaries.
Right, maintain the illusion.
Exactly. And that discipline, performing behind a mask, maybe that's what paved the way for those later character-driven bits on TV, like the Australian fast bowler, or even the hard chat persona itself.
So he learned early how to inhabit a very specific, maybe abrasive persona and make it work logically, like field testing a comedic variable.
Yeah, something like that. For 2 whole years. It shows he was thinking about the performance side, the theatricality, right from the start.
And he didn't just test Malcolm in local pubs. He hit the festival circuit. Hard.
Oh yeah, the list is impressive. All the big Australian ones.
Yeah.
Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide Fringe, Brisbane, Perth Fringe World.
But internationally, too.
Right. Edinburgh Fringe, that's the big one globally. And Montreal's Just for Laughs Festival.
That's a huge amount of stage time. Thousands of hours, probably, refining material, seeing what works with different crowds, different cultures.
It's the ultimate apprenticeship, really. Testing, refining, adapting. That scientific approach again, maybe?
Could be. But then came an experience that wasn't on a festival stage. Something pretty unique and probably quite formative.
Ah, you mean the tours for the troops.
Exactly. December 2007, he went to Iraq and Afghanistan to perform for Australian soldiers on active duty.
Yeah, that's a world away from the Edinburgh Fringe, isn't it? Performing for an audience under that kind of constant, intense stress.
Totally different stakes. You'd need to be fearless, but also smart about it. Can't be dull, can't seem scared yourself.
You know, that experience might have been crucial in forging that really confident, almost bulletproof persona we see later, making soldiers laugh in a war zone. That takes a certain kind of, well, calculated boldness.
A kind of hard chat before hard chat.
Maybe. That willingness to push boundaries, but do it effectively, it translates.
And characteristically, he didn't just have the experience, he processed it, structured it, and turned it into something else almost immediately.
Right, the book,
Mm.
Playing Poker with His Hay, a comedy tour of Iraq and Afghanistan. Came out less than a year later, October 2008.
That's quick. It shows that writers discipline again, doesn't it? Observe, analyze, articulate, produce.
Yeah, it really reinforces that image of him structuring his own experiences into material,
Mm-hmm.
constantly processing.
So all that grinding, performing, writing, experiencing, it starts to pay off in terms of recognition. Which leads us nicely into Section 3. Critical acclaim versus popular wins. Two sides of the coin.
Exactly. First, you see the industry recognition starting to build, the serious nods from peers. He got nominated 3 times for the Helpmann Award for Best Comedy Performer.
And let's just remind people, the Helpmanns are a big deal in Australian arts, like the Tonys or the Olivias. It's about critical artistic merit judged by the industry.
Right, so his nominated shows were Tom On, back in 2007, then Up Himself in 2011, and Quality in 2014.
So over a 7-year span, his live shows are consistently hitting that high standard, evolving beyond just Malcolm, getting more refined, critically acclaimed work out there.
Definitely. But critical success doesn't always mean mass popularity, does it?
No, but he managed to crack that code too. Later on, he starts winning awards driven more by audience votes and ticket sales.
Yeah, the Fringe Awards. His show Joy won Best Comedy at Perth Fringe World in 2019.
Okay.
And then the very next year, 2020, his show Lighten Up won Best Comedy at the Adelaide Fringe. Those are significant wins, showing he could really connect with big festival crowds across the country.
So he's got the critics and the crowds, and that show Joy, its success didn't just stop on stage, did it?
No, it translated to audio, too. He got an ARIA nomination. That's the Australian Recording Industry Award for Best Comedy Release in 2020.
Which is fascinating. It means the jokes, the structure, the timing, it all worked even without seeing him perform it live.
It holds up just as audio, which makes you think, why does his stuff work so well across different formats? Live, TV, audio recording.
It has to be that structure, right? That underlying logic. A joke relying purely on a silly face might die on audio, but one built on a clever setup and precise timing.
That mathematical precision.
Yeah, it just works, regardless of the medium. It's got substance, not just style. Though he has style, too.
He does. And all this success in live comedy paved the way for a much bigger presence in mass media. Section 4, the rise on air. Starting with radio.
Right, radio was a key stepping stone, building that national voice.
From 2004 to 2005, he was doing evenings on Triple M in Sydney and Melbourne. Tom and Subby with Subby Valentine. That's often where comics sharpen their quick banter.
But then a bigger leap into breakfast radio in 2009.
Yeah, Mixed Mornings on Mix 101.1 in Melbourne with Brigitte Duclos. And breakfast radio is a different beast altogether, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Much broader audience, relentless pace. Got to be on for hours every single morning. Family-friendly, but still funny.
It's a real test of consistency and adaptability. Shows he could package his wit for the mainstream.
And around the same time, his face starts popping up more on TV. Early sketch comedy work.
Yes, Skid House. He was in that in 2003 and 2004.
Ah, Skid House. Right.
Playing various characters. It let him flex those character muscles he'd built up as Malcolm. The sources mention one standout, the Australian fast bowler.
A parody of Dennis Lillee, apparently.
Yeah, shows that observational skill, too. And that character discipline just keeps showing up.
Then, showing off the smarts again, he won Australia's brainiest radio star in 2006.
Huh. Yeah, bit of fun. But it plays into that competitive, sharp mind image, good under pressure.
He was also becoming a familiar face on panel shows, which were huge back then.
Definitely. He was on Big Brother's Big Mouth briefly in 2008, and then quite a few appearances on Good News Week between 2008 and 2011.
Those shows were vital for comedians to get national exposure, hone that quick, punchy style.
Absolutely. And then came that big advertising campaign in 2009, the Red Rooster one.
Oh, yeah, they don't get it in Australia, where he's in America asking people about Red Rooster.
Exactly. That campaign was everywhere. It really cemented him as this sort of dry, unmistakably Australian voice, observing the world. Great for his commercial profile.
So by 2013, he's ready for a bigger hosting gig, This Week Live.
Yeah, co-hosting that comedy chat show with Tommy Little, Dave Thornton, and Machel Laurie. That felt like the final piece of the puzzle falling into place, didn't it?
Handling structured chat, reacting live, delivering opinions week after week. It's the perfect lead-in to what came next.
Which is really where everything exploded. Section 5. The hard chat era and peak popularity. This is where that specific persona really crystallizes.
It all kicks off with The Weekly, with Charlie Pickering on the ABC, starting in 2015. He wasn't just a contributor, he created signature segments.
Right, he did. This is what you think. Go away. But the one that really landed, the game changer, was hard chat.
Hard chat. Describe the genius of hard chat.
It was, well, weaponized interviewing, wasn't it? This guy's as a casual chat, but every question was incredibly pointed, designed purely to needle the celebrity guest.
Calculated conflict.
Totally calculated. The aggression wasn't random, it was the tool. The controlled variable, like you said before, designed to provoke a reaction, which became the comedy. It was analytically hostile, not genuinely mean-spirited, usually.
It was so popular, so effective, it basically demanded its own show.
Instantly. Hard Quiz spins off in 2016. The brilliance was realizing that same abrasive, interrogating style worked just as well, maybe even better, on ordinary people talking about their obscure passions.
Yeah, it shouldn't work, should it? A quiz host being mean to the contestants. But they seem to love it, and the audience definitely does.
It's that perfectly judged boundary pushing again. He knows exactly how far to go. It became, and still is, one of the ABC's biggest hits.
And his hosting profile just kept growing. He's now the Taskmaster on Taskmaster Australia.
Yeah, working with Tom Cashman as his assistant. And the Taskmaster role, it's kind of the ultimate evolution of that persona, isn't it? The inscrutable, all-powerful judge setting these absurd tasks.
The scientific mind setting the parameters again.
Exactly. And his influence became pretty tangible. There's that anecdote in the sources about Sophie Monk in 2017.
Right. The speculation that his hard chat interview with her was so good showed off her personality so well.
That it basically got her the gig as the Bachelorette Australia.
Which is incredible. That's not just being a funny interviewer. That's actually shaping casting decisions in the media landscape. Real influence.
He wasn't just reacting to the media anymore. He was becoming a force within it.
And all this momentum from the science degree, the drumming, Malcolm, the troupe tours, radio, hard chat, it all leads to the absolute peak in 2019.
The Gold Logie, from his popular personality on television.
Let's just sit with that for a second. The Gold Logie. It's the biggest popularity prize in Australian TV, voted for by the public.
We talked about the Helpmans, that's industry respect. This is pure audience love on a massive scale.
And look at who else has won it over the years. Legends like Graham Kennedy, big stars like Lisa McCune, Rove McManus, contemporaries like Hamish Blake.
Joining that list means you've connected with the Australian public deeply. It's validation that the very specific, sometimes prickly persona he crafted wasn't just critically interesting, he was genuinely popular, widely loved even.
And he's shown he can work anywhere, too. He did that roast of Paul Hogan in 2022.
Yeah, that was on Channel 7. He moves between the ABC, commercial networks, radio. His brand, the Gleeson persona, it transcends any single channel.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together. It's quite a journey, isn't it? Gunova, physics lab, band rooms, war zones, comedy stages, radio studios, TV sets, ending up with the Gold Logie.
The big takeaway has to be adaptability, underpinned by that sense of structure. He took a background in logic and science, applied it through music, stand-up, writing, performing.
And found this incredible success by honing that very sharp, focused interview style that became hard chat and then hard quiz. It all comes back to structure and timing.
And for you, the listener, think about that adaptability. How does being a drummer maybe inform comedic timing years later? How does thinking like a mathematician maybe help you build a persona that can push boundaries, but still feel solid?
Controlled. Yeah, the aggression feels like a strategy, not just random yelling. It's calculated.
That mix of brain power and popular appeal is pretty rare, isn't it? Sometimes comedy is all style, no substance, or vice versa. He seems to have married them using that foundational training.
He really has. Which leaves us with one final thought for you to mull over. Gleeson's had this incredibly varied career. He's won the biggest popularity award. But looking beyond the Gold Logie itself, what part of his career best shows his connection with the Australian public? And thinking ahead, what's likely to be his defining legacy?
Is it Hard Quiz? You know, the show he created from his own segment? Perfectly tailored to his style, full of Aussie quirks and obsessions.
Or is it Taskmaster Australia? Taking on that huge global format, becoming the face of comedic authority in that context.
The homegrown quizmaster versus the international comedy judge. Where does that scientific structural brain make the biggest, most lasting impact?
Something to think about. That was our deep dive into the surprisingly structured, incredibly successful comedic life of Tom Gleeson.
Thanks for joining us.